All right, so we're going to take a deep breath real quick. And I'm going to ease up. So I know we covered a lot of information. I just want to remind you that you are not expected to memorize all these different things. The only thing that we want is for you to understand that the brain is a very complex system made up of other parts, and each part has its own role. Okay? So the brain is a complex system. We know that now. And we know now that there are different parts, and each part does something different. So we're going to get into those parts a little bit, but we're going to generalize it to make things a little simpler. Okay? So our brain has developed in 3 phases. Okay? So the first phase is the reptilian brain, and we actually share a lot of brain features that reptiles have. Okay, the reptilian brain is responsible purely for immediate survival. Okay, so if you think about it, what do I need to be alive in the next 6 minutes? Okay, I need to have oxygen, so I need to breathe, and I need to deliver that oxygen to the rest of my body. So I need a heart. Those things are absolutely essential, right? I need to make sure my body temperature stays what it is, it can't fluctuate too much. And then I need to have balance so that I can move around. So that is what the reptilian brain's primary functions are. So reptilian brain's functions are very reactive to the environment and very automatic. We do not think through those decisions. Those things happen. Our heart will continue beating. We will continue breathing. Even if you hold your breath, you're going to continue breathing, right? That's the reptilian brain. Next developed was the limbic system, the limbic brain, the mammalian brain. Now, what the limbic system does is it records our experiences and remembers them as agreeable or disagreeable. So did that experience help me? Is it going to help me survive, or did it hurt me? Is it going to risk my chance to survive, right? So it kind of evaluates things as good or bad. Now, that process is almost always done without conscious thought. It happens in your brain without you thinking through and realizing that that's what's happening, right? Remember, different parts do different things. That part of the brain makes those judgments without our prefrontal cortex even aware of it most of the time, okay? The limbic system is also where our emotions are, right? Because emotions will direct us and make us move towards or away from things. Lastly, the prefrontal cortex developed, and that is the part that really, exploded the possibilities for what we can do as humans. Okay, so the prefrontal cortex allows us to have focused attention, which is unique, right? So I have a dog, very disciplined. He can focus his attention for a little bit, but if I just leave him alone, fly flies by, he's going to try and bite the air for 5 minutes to try to catch the fly. Right? He's going to chase his tail. Right? They don't have the ability. Dogs don't have the ability to have attention as focused as ours, right? We dogs have some self-control, but they do not have anywhere near the self-control that we have, right? We have the ability to decide not to do something that we know will feel good because we know that in 5 years from now, that might hurt my chances of success, right? That's something that the limbic brain saying, yeah, it's going to feel good, do it. Our prefrontal cortex is the part of our brain that we need to say, no, that's not going to help me, right? So also in the prefrontal cortex, compassion. We have the ability to think about what an experience would be like for somebody else. That's exceptionally unique, right? We have free will. We can make choices if we choose to. It allows us to have judgment. It allows us to plan for the future. And it is where all of our rationality sits, right? Important thing about the prefrontal cortex, this is the last part to develop as people too. So as a baby, it is the least developed part of your brain, and this part of your brain develops until you're in your mid-20s, 25, somewhere in that range. It'll keep growing and keep developing. Okay. One more thing about the prefrontal cortex, language. It is the only part of your brain that is capable of language, right? And so some things that might jump out at you. Language is only capable in the prefrontal cortex. Your limbic system that has emotions doesn't have the capacity for language, which is why it can be so difficult sometimes to explain what we're feeling, because a feeling doesn't come from the same part of the brain that can make words. And so there's that disconnect there. Anyways, these are the different parts of the brain. Process that for a second And we're going to go to the next slide and talk about automatic and explicit.